Okay, I have got Facebook Live started. I'm Sandra Lee with miracleinspirations.com and the Breathe Life's Inspirations blog. I've been doing a weekly video blog about your health on stress and what you can do. You can go to miracleinspirations.com and subscribe to my weekly announcements there. And I've been doing Facebook Live here mostly daily for a while, talking a bunch about food and eating and starting to talk about other health issues as well. So if you have friends who would appreciate this content, then let them know. And I'd welcome any reviews you want to give me, link on the left. So today I am talking about Ask Me Anything about yo-yo dieting and metabolism. So I talked a little bit about yo-yo dieting in one of the lives that wound up not posting, not saving on Facebook. So I'm going to start from the beginning with this. So we have been talking about how we eat and how timing of eating affects metabolism. And let's look at the whole dieting, yo-yo dieting phenomenon. So there are a lot of people in the world who want to lose weight, who want their weight number basically to go down. And the belief about how to do that has always been eat less and exercise more. It's supposed to be that if you eat less food, you have less calories going in, so you should wind up having fewer issues associated with weight. And then exercising more so that you're burning more calories to make it so your body burns them up. So burn the fat tissue. And it's great in theory, but it winds up not working very well in fact. So you have people who cut their intake of food way down. Sometimes people just starve themselves, don't eat anything. And then when they allow themselves to eat again, because it's really hard to maintain that, right? I mean, obviously it's hard to maintain the not eating anything at all, but even if you're severely restricting your input, it's hard to maintain that over time. And so people feel deprived and they're starving and they might be losing some weight. We'll talk about what that weight loss actually represents. So when they go back to eating, they wind up gaining the weight back that they had lost and then more. So they wind up weighing more after the whole dieting episode than they did before they started dieting. And so it sets them up for this experience of feeling like a failure, failing in their diet, bad opinion about themselves, all sorts of things results from this practice of yo-yo dieting. And I know they're not intentionally doing it to yo-yo diet, but the whole dieting practice, diet wagon, the diet belief system is fundamentally flawed. It's incomplete information. So if in fact weight were completely dependent on the quantity, the calories of what you ate, and that were the only thing that influenced that, so it's like if what you ate and then how much energy you used, if those two things together, as the eat less, exercise more belief system says, if that were actually true, then it would work, obviously. And so there would not be any people who are unsuccessful at losing weight and dieting because it would work. So the fact that so many people fail at this is evidence that that model is faulty. There's something missing. So what's missing? Let's look at metabolism and how dieting impacts your metabolism. We've been talking here about blood sugar and blood sugar management and how, depending on how you eat, you can have a healthy metabolism or you can have an unhealthy metabolism. So let's talk about this whole dieting piece and how it impacts your metabolism. So when you decrease the amount that you eat, you decrease the calories, you decrease your intake, meaning eat less. If you're substantially cutting your intake, what does your body think of that? On an instinctive survival level, your body thinks that there is no food out there, that the reason why you're not eating is because there isn't any food, or that the amount of food that is available is you're eating it all up. And if it's significantly decreased, then there must be scarcity. There must be a shortage. Your body's primary priority, right, is you to continue to survive, you to live till tomorrow, to next year. It will do whatever it takes to make it to tomorrow, next year, because you need to survive. So when there is a shortage of intake, your body says, I have to conserve all of my resources because she's not eating. She's not giving me enough food. So I have to count on that state is going to continue, that there will continue to be this shortage of food and that I won't have enough to eat. So I need to hold on to every bit that I can. I can't burn these calories up. I can't burn this fuel because there won't be enough coming in. So there is something called your basal metabolic rate. The basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories that your body burns for maintenance functions. So if all I do is I lie in bed and I don't do anything all day, my body is still going to be functioning, still going to be burning fuel. That's the basal metabolic rate. The rate at which my body burns fuel, uses energy, right, when I am doing nothing. So I cannot have my metabolism, go below the basal metabolic rate. That's the lowest amount that my body will burn for fuel. But if I severely restrict what's coming in, my body says, have to conserve. So it lowers its metabolic rate, effectively burning less energy for maintenance functions, for daily functions, because of the scarcity that is coming. In times when food was not readily available, when we were hunter-gatherers and over the winter there wasn't food at all, and all those kinds of times when food has been restricted, when there's been a famine for some reason, or shortage of food for any reason, our body's ability to survive despite the decreased intake of food is wonderful. It's a survival mechanism and we need that. But when we are imposing this food shortage on ourselves, imposing it on our bodies with our choices, the body doesn't know the difference between real famine, real shortage, and something that I am choosing because I want to lose weight. So when I severely restrict my intake, basal metabolic rate goes down. So if I'm in this dieting situation, right, and I am purposely restricting my intake, I may lose some weight. A lot of that is going to be water weight. And people, in the first couple of days, they say, hey, I've lost 10 pounds. That's great. Not realizing, not appreciating that most of that is probably loss of stored water. If you have inflammation, if you have edema, or if you're toxic. We've talked about inflammation. So it's like if your body is toxic because of the what you've been taking in, your body holds on to fluid to be able to just try to manage this toxicity. So when you decrease your intake, a lot of the weight lost will actually be water weight. And as soon as you go back to eating, that weight will come right on back, assuming you're eating the same foods that you were eating before. So that is there's that immediate bump back of the weight. If you have, because you've so restricted your eating, burned some of the fat that was stored in the fat tissue, I mean, that's a positive thing. But it's quite possible that your body will just put it right back on again. Because again, your metabolism is lower. So when you start eating again, your body's metabolism has remained low. When you go back to eating normally, the metabolism doesn't bounce back up to where it was before. It stays decreased. So when you go back to eating your normal amount, or maybe even more because you've been starving yourself, right? Your body says, oh, I still have to conserve all of my resources because the famine may still be here. So it takes all of this intake of food that you have when you start eating again, perhaps binge eating or overeating, right? Your body says, oh, I have all these extra resources. I got to store it all away. And it stores it in your fat tissue. And it still decreased your beta-basal metabolic requirements. So you wind up, when you start eating again, having your weight go back up again to where it was before you started dieting, and then even higher. That's the whole yo-yo piece, right? Weight goes up and down and up and down. And over time, it's like it goes up and down, up and down, and up and down on the weight. So that sometimes people may have started here when they started dieting their weight, and then it winds up being significantly higher. Now, the person didn't do that intentionally. Their intention was to lose weight, but they ended up gaining weight. So understanding this whole piece about the metabolism is a really important thing to understand. So when people decide they want to change their weight, doing it through a way that is more gradual, that's not just like cutting out massive amounts of your food, to going from eating this much to eating this much. In a day, if you're used to eating this much isn't going to be enough. You're not going to be satisfied. And your body is going to think that you are starving. And so the weight loss isn't actually going to work. So understanding that this effect of dieting on metabolism and why it contributes to this up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, there's another factor contributes to this. This whole process of dieting and starving yourself and deprivation is all extremely stressful. Very, very stressful. So the impact of stress on all of this is that it contributes to weight gain. When you want to lose weight, have a sustainable weight loss that remains over time, to go from being a larger person to sustainably always a smaller person, requires not just getting off the diet train, right? But having consistent eating patterns, change what you eat. The whole thing that I talked about the other day about processed foods and cooking, making your own food, the quality of the food that you eat makes so much difference. If you have food that contains a lot of toxins, additives, chemicals, pesticides, just garbage in it, your body doesn't know what to do with those things. And it has to either excrete those toxins or isolate them. And I've talked about the whole fat tissue thing, right? So it's like inside those fat cells, your body needs to remove the toxins that are circulating in your bloodstream because you've eaten them in your food, okay? And so it stores some fat in the fat cells with some of the toxins. And then tomorrow, when you eat more toxins, there's more circulating toxins. Oh, it's like I gotta get that out of there. Gotta take it and stick it in my fat cells. So the toxins store in the fat cells. So if you want to sustainably lose weight, it really helps if you clean up what you eat. Less packages, less chemicals, less garbage, okay? So go back to the Facebook Live where I talked about packaged food versus cooking, if that doesn't make sense to you. When you have the toxins, your body is also using inflammation as part of how it has to deal with that. So it's like it's trying to deal with the toxins that are in the system, the toxins that are in the tissues, and isolating it with the fluid. Inflammation is part of your body's attempt to manage this whole toxic state. Now, if your body is toxic for some other reason, had a long-term chemical exposure, or you've got mold in your house, I mean, those are all toxic states that are not associated with eating. Those can also contribute to inflammation and weight gain. So there's so many different things that impact weight. So I think I talked about everything I want to say when it comes to this yo-yo dieting and metabolism. I am going to talk for the next couple of Facebook Lives, Monday and Tuesday next week, I think, about weight-bearing exercise. And I decided to make it 2 days because there are a lot of things I want to say about the weight-bearing exercise and why it matters. Okay, so thank you for joining me for Facebook Live. Give me your comments, recommend it to your friends, reviews, and all that stuff. Have a wonderful weekend. Father's Day is here, so appreciate, love, give thanks, have gratitude for our fathers, whether they are still with us here alive and if they've passed. So just appreciating the role of our fathers in our lives. And if you are a father, or if you have a partner who is a father, just give gratitude to them for all that they do. Have a wonderful day. Love yourself, love others. Bye.